The station was massive. Convergence Prime floated in space like a metal city. Ships from 100 different worlds docked at its ports. Today was special. The Galactic Council was meeting, and everyone who mattered in the galaxy was here. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of her ship and looked at the station through the main window. She was tired. The journey from Earth had taken 3 weeks. Behind her, the crew worked quietly at their stations. They all knew what was coming. The HMS Indomitable moved slowly toward the docking port. The ship was old, very old. It had fought in 3 wars. The hull was covered in patches and repairs. Some parts were new, some were old, and some were from other ships entirely. The paint was different colors in different places. One engine leaked a faint blue glow. Elena could see the other ships around them. Sleek Valkyrie destroyers with perfect silver hulls. Elegant Ascendi cruisers that looked like works of art. The Zenthari warships were dark and dangerous. Every one of them was beautiful and powerful and new. The Indomitable looked like a joke next to them. The communications officer looked up. Rodriguez, a young woman from Mexico City. She was good at her job. She had to be. "Captain, we are receiving messages on the open channel," Rodriguez said. Elena already knew what they would say. "Let me hear it." The bridge speakers crackled. Laughter came through first. Then voices in different alien languages. The translation system turned them into English. "Look at the human ship. Is that really a warship? Did they bring their garbage collector to the summit? I have seen better ships in museums." Elena saw her crew getting angry. Hands tightened on consoles. Jaws clenched. But they stayed quiet. They were professionals. "Turn it off," Elena said calmly. Rodriguez nodded and cut the feed. The docking process took 30 minutes. The Indomitable settled into its berth with a series of heavy clanks. The artificial gravity adjusted. Elena stood and straightened her uniform. "Commander Chen, you have the bridge," she said. Chen was her second in command, a quiet man from Singapore. He had served with her for 8 years. "Yes, Captain. Good luck down there." Elena walked to the airlock with 2 security officers. The station beyond was bright and clean. Everything gleamed. Aliens of every shape and size walked the corridors. Many stopped to stare at the human captain in her plain blue uniform. The council chamber was enormous. A circular room with seats rising in tiers. Hundreds of delegates filled the space. At the center, on a raised platform, sat the council members themselves. 12 beings from 12 different species. Elena took her place in the human section. Earth had only 3 seats. They were near the back. Small nations always got the back seats. The Valkyrie section was at the front. Of course, they had 20 seats. The Valkyrie Empire was the most powerful force in the galaxy. Their military was unmatched. Their technology was the most advanced. Everyone knew it. The Valkyrie made sure everyone knew it. Admiral Thexnor stood to speak. He was tall, even for a Valkyrie. His skin was gray and smooth. His eyes were black and cold. 4 arms moved as he talked. His uniform was covered in medals and ribbons. "I wish to address the matter of the human territories," Thexnor said. His voice was deep and commanding. The chamber fell silent. Elena felt her stomach tighten. "Here it comes. The Valkyrie Empire has identified 3 worlds in the frontier sector that rightfully belong to us. These worlds were discovered by Valkyrie scouts 200 years ago. The humans have built colonies there without permission. This is unacceptable." Elena stood. "Those worlds were empty when we arrived. Your scouts found them, but you never settled them. We have 50 million people living there now. We will not abandon them." Thexnor turned to look at her. His face showed no emotion. "Captain Vasquez, I noticed your ship in the docking bay. The HMS Indomitable, yes? I must ask, why does Earth send such a vessel to an important summit? It is barely functional." Laughter rippled through the chamber. "Not from everyone, but from enough." Elena's face stayed calm, but inside she burned. "The Indomitable has served Earth well for 40 years, Elena said quietly. "She has never let us down." "I am sure," Thexnor said with a smile that was not kind. "Tell me, Captain, how long do you think your museum piece would last against a single Valkyrie destroyer? 5 minutes, 10? More laughter. Louder this time, Elena said nothing. She sat down. There was no point in arguing, not here. "Not now," Thexnor continued. "The Valkyrie Empire demands that all human colonies in the frontier sector be evacuated within 72 hours. If this demand is not met, we will take appropriate military action." The council chamber erupted in noise. Delegates shouted. Arguments broke out. The council members called for order. In the chaos, one being stayed quiet. Observer Kelthas of the Ascendi sat in his special seat. The Ascendi did not take sides. They only watched and recorded. Kelthas had studied humans for many years. He found them fascinating, unpredictable, stubborn. He watched Captain Vasquez's face. She was calm, too calm. Most beings would show fear when threatened by the Velkari Empire. But this human showed nothing. Just that quiet, controlled stillness. Kelthas had seen this before in humans. It was not submission. It was preparation. The council ended with no resolution. Earth refused to evacuate. The Velkari refused to back down. 72 hours to find a solution. But everyone knew there would be no solution. There would only be war. Elena returned to the Indomitable. Her crew was waiting. They had heard everything. The mockery. The threats. The deadline. She stood on the bridge and looked at each of them. 800 souls. Engineers, gunners, medical staff, technicians. All of them had volunteered for this posting. Everyone said the Indomitable was the worst assignment in the fleet. Old ship, dangerous missions, low prestige, but they were here anyway. We have new orders, Elena said. We are to proceed to the frontier sector, to the colony world of New Sarajevo. Our mission is to observe and report, she paused. But if the Velkari come, we stand our ground. No colony will fall while we still have power to fight. The Indomitable left Convergence Prime 12 hours later. Other ships watched it go. The mocking messages continued on the open channels until they were out of range. Elena ordered them ignored. The journey to the frontier sector would take 40 hours at maximum speed. Elena used that time to prepare. Not just the ship. The crew. She called a meeting in the main cargo bay. It was the only space big enough for everyone. The crew assembled quickly. They stood in neat rows waiting. Elena looked at them. So many faces, young and old. Men and women from every continent on Earth. Some had families waiting at home. Some had no one. But they were all here. I will not lie to you, she began. The Velkari Empire is sending a fleet to the frontier sector. A big one. The 7th Fleet under Admiral Thexnor himself. Intelligence reports 47 warships. We will face them alone. The nearest human ships are 3 weeks away. Silence. No one moved. I know what they say about this ship, Elena continued. I know what they call us. The relic, the museum piece, the joke, I have heard it all. So have you, she paused. But I also know what this ship really is. The Indomitable has fought in 3 major wars. She has survived battles that destroyed ships twice her size. She has more combat honors than any vessel in the fleet. Do you know why? A young ensign in the front row spoke up. His voice was nervous but clear. Because she refuses to die, Captain. Elena smiled. Exactly. And neither do we. The Velkari think we are weak. They think our ship is garbage. Let them think that. We know the truth. Every system on this ship has 3 backups. Every weapon has been tested in real combat. Every plate of armor has taken hits and held. We are not pretty. But we are strong. Chief Engineer Rodriguez stepped forward. She was older than most of the crew. She had gray in her hair now. She had served on the Indomitable for 15 years. She knew every pipe, every wire, every bolt. Captain's right, Rodriguez said loudly. Yeah, we leak radiation. That's because we have 4 separate power cores instead of 1. Yeah, our hull is patched together. That's because we have triple-layered armor instead of fancy energy shields. Yeah, we look like hell. But we work. We always work. The crew started to nod. Murmurs of agreement spread through the bay. I will not order anyone to stay, Elena said. If you want to leave, you can take a shuttle to the nearest station. No questions asked, no shame. This is going to be bad. I will not pretend otherwise, she waited. 1 minute. 2 minutes. 5 minutes, no one moved. Good, Elena said quietly. Then let's get to work. The next 30 hours were busy. Very busy. Rodriguez and her engineers worked around the clock. They rerouted power systems. They calibrated weapons. They reinforced key structures. They did things that would have made regular engineers nervous. The weapons teams ran drills. Again and again, load, aim, fire. Load, aim, fire. The old railguns were slow compared to modern energy weapons. But they hit hard, very hard. And they never ran out of ammunition as long as you had metal to shoot. The tactical team studied everything they could find about Velkari ships. Their shields. Their weapons. Their tactics. The Velkari loved to fight at long range. Their ships were fast and maneuverable. They used coordinated attacks with precise timing. Commander Chen brought the analysis to Elena. They sat in her ready room, a small office next to the bridge. The walls were covered in old photographs. Previous captains. Previous crews. All of them had fought. All of them had survived. The Velkari will try to surround us, Chen said. They will use their speed advantage to attack from multiple angles. Their primary weapons are energy lances. Very powerful. Very accurate. Maximum effective range is 80,000 kilometers. Elena studied the data. And our railguns? Effective range is about 40,000 kilometers. Maybe 50 if we are lucky. So they can shoot us before we can shoot them. Yes, Captain. Elena was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled. Then we get close. Very close. Close enough that their fancy targeting systems cannot keep up. Close enough that our armor matters more than their shields. Chen looked worried. Captain, that is extremely dangerous. We would have to fly through their entire fire zone to get that close. Yes. But this ship was built to take damage. Their ships were built to avoid it. We can survive the approach. They cannot survive us at close range. Chen nodded slowly. I see, it is risky. But it might work. It has to work, Elena said. We have no other choice. 20 hours before the deadline, they received new intelligence. The Velkari 7th Fleet had assembled. 47 ships, 3 battleships, 12 cruisers, 32 destroyers. The flagship was the Eternal Dominion, one of the most powerful warships ever built. Admiral Thexnor would command personally. He wanted to be there when the humans were crushed. He wanted to watch. The Indomitable arrived at New Sarajevo with 40 hours to spare. The colony world was beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds, 50 million people lived down there. Farmers, teachers, engineers, children. They had built a life here. A good life. The colonial government sent a message. They would not evacuate. This was their home. They trusted their military to protect them. They trusted the Indomitable. Elena read the message 3 times. Then she sent a reply. Simple. Direct. We will not let you down. The ship took up position in high orbit. Weapons were charged. Systems were ready. All they could do now was wait. On the bridge, Rodriguez checked her displays one more time. Everything was green. Well, everything that mattered. There were about 50 minor alerts, but there were always 50 minor alerts on the Indomitable. If the alerts ever went to 0, that would mean something was actually wrong. Chief, a young ensign said. His name was Park, fresh from the academy. This was his first real mission. Are we really going to fight 47 ships? Rodriguez looked at him. He was scared. That was okay. Fear was normal. Yeah, kid. We are. But how? How can one ship fight 47? Rodriguez smiled. Because we are not like them. They build their ships to be perfect. We build our ships to be tough. They train their crews to follow rules. We train our crews to survive. They think war is about technology. We know war is about will. She patted the console next to her. This old girl has been through worse. And she is still here, Park nodded. He still looked scared. But now he also looked determined. Far away on Convergence Prime, Observer Kelthas sat in his quarters. He had access to all the military channels. He could see everything that was happening. The Velkari fleet was moving toward New Sarajevo. The Indomitable waited alone. Kelthas had studied war for 300 years. He had seen thousands of battles. He had analyzed millions of tactical scenarios. The numbers were clear. The Indomitable had no chance. No chance at all, but something bothered him. Humans were unpredictable. They did things that made no sense. Things that should not work. And sometimes those things did work. He opened a secure channel to the Indomitable. It took a moment to connect. Then Captain Vasquez appeared on his screen. She looked tired but alert. Observer Kelthas, she said. I am surprised to hear from you. Captain Vasquez. I wanted to send you a message. The galaxy is watching this. Every species. Every government. What happens in the next few days will be remembered for a very long time. Elena nodded. I understand. Then I will say this. Make it memorable. Win or lose, make them remember. Elena smiled, a real smile this time. We will do our best. The connection closed. Kelthas sat back. He had a feeling that he was about to witness something extraordinary. Something that would change how the galaxy saw humanity. He just did not know if it would be a glorious last stand or something else entirely. Soon, very soon, he would find out. The Velkari fleet arrived exactly on schedule. 47 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel in a perfect formation. They appeared like ghosts becoming solid. One moment nothing, the next moment an armada. Elena watched from the bridge. The sensor displays lit up with contacts. So many contacts. Each one was a ship that could destroy the Indomitable in a fair fight. Good thing she had no intention of fighting fair. All hands to battle stations, she said calmly. This is not a drill. Alarms sounded throughout the ship. Not loud and panicked. Steady and firm. The crew had practiced this 100 times. They moved to their positions quickly and quietly. The Velkari fleet began to move. They spread out in a wide arc. 3 battleships in the center. Cruisers on the flanks. Destroyers screening the formation. It was textbook military doctrine. Beautiful and precise. The Indomitable stayed exactly where it was. Motionless. Silent. Waiting. A communication request came through. Rodriguez looked at Elena. The captain nodded. Admiral Thexnor appeared on the main screen. He sat in a command chair that looked like a throne. His bridge was massive and gleaming. Dozens of officers worked at pristine consoles. Everything was perfect. Everything was new. Captain Vasquez, Thexnor said. His voice was smooth and confident. I see you are still here. I admire your loyalty, even if it is misplaced. This is your final chance. Surrender now and I will allow your crew to live. You may even keep your ship such as it is. Elena looked at him for a long moment. Then she said one word. No, Thexnor sighed. A pity, very well. I will make this quick. You have fought bravely, but this is over. My fleet will disable your ship within minutes. Then you will watch as we secure the colony below. It is nothing personal, Captain. This is simply how power works. Admiral, Elena said quietly. You are making a mistake. Thexnor laughed. A genuine laugh. A mistake? Captain, I have 47 warships. You have 1 ancient relic. Please enlighten me. What mistake am I making? You think you understand us, Elena said. But you do not. You see an old ship and assume we are weak. You see outdated weapons and assume we are helpless. You count your ships and assume you have already won. She leaned forward. That is your mistake. Thexnor's smile faded slightly. Bold words for someone about to die. Perhaps, Elena said. We shall see. She cut the connection. The screen went dark. The Velkari fleet began its attack run. Not a full assault. That would be beneath them. Just a demonstration. A show of force. 3 destroyers broke formation and accelerated toward the Indomitable. They would disable the human ship and the rest of the fleet would watch. It was meant to be humiliating. Quick, efficient, painless. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Commander Chen monitored the approaching ships. 3 destroyers, range 90,000 kilometers and closing. They are charging weapons. Let them come, Elena said. She touched the communications panel. All sections, this is the captain. We have trained for this. We have prepared for this. Now we show them what we are made of. Stand ready. Throughout the ship, 800 people stood at their posts. In engineering, Rodriguez had her hand on the main power controls. In weapons, the gun crews waited by their stations. In medical, doctors prepared for casualties. Everyone was ready. The destroyers reached 70,000 kilometers. Then 60,000, then 50,000. They were moving fast, very fast. Their weapons were glowing with power. The Indomitable still did not move. Its weapons were cold. Its engines were barely running. To the Velkari, it looked like a target. A stationary, helpless target. At 45,000 kilometers, the destroyers opened fire. Energy lances shot across space. Bright blue beams of concentrated power. Each one could punch through a mountain. 3 beams converged on the Indomitable and hit nothing. The Indomitable was no longer there. Full power, Elena shouted. All engines! Get us in close. The ship had been running on minimum power, hiding its true capabilities. Now every engine roared to life. The radiation leaks were not leaks at all. They were extra power cores hidden in plain sight. 4 separate fusion reactors pumped energy into the drive systems. The Indomitable accelerated like a missile, straight toward the destroyers. The ugly, slow, obsolete ship suddenly moved like a predator. The Velkari captains were stunned. Their sensors had shown a nearly dead ship. Now those same sensors showed power levels that should not be possible. They tried to adjust their aim, tried to track this new threat, but the Indomitable was already too close, and it was turning, not smoothly like a Valkyrie ship. Roughly, violently. Hidden thruster networks all over the hull fired in coordinated bursts. The ship twisted and spun like a boxer dodging punches. 30,000 kilometers, Chen called out. 25,000. Weapons range, Elena shouted. Fire everything? The Indomitable's railguns opened up, not one at a time. All of them, together. In a thunderous, devastating barrage, railguns were simple weapons. Magnetic coils accelerated metal slugs to incredible speeds. No fancy energy systems. No delicate focusing crystals. Just raw kinetic force. And the Valkyrie shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not solid projectiles. The first destroyer took 20 hits in 3 seconds. Its shields flashed and overloaded. The slugs punched through the hull like it was paper. Secondary explosions rippled along its length. It spun out of control, leaking atmosphere and debris. The second destroyer tried to evade. It was fast, but the Indomitable's weapons tracked with mechanical precision. No computers to confuse, no targeting algorithms to fool. Just simple, reliable, brutal firepower. The destroyer's engine section exploded. The ship went dark and tumbled away. The third destroyer managed to return fire. Its energy lances hit the Indomitable's armor. The outer layer burned away. The second layer glowed red-hot. The third layer held. Barely, but now the Indomitable was right on top of it. Close enough to touch. Elena called down to Rodriguez. Chief, give me everything. Everything? Rodriguez shouted back over the noise. You sure? Everything. Rodriguez grinned and pushed every control to maximum. Power flooded the weapon systems. The railguns began to overheat, but they kept firing. Faster. Harder. The third destroyer came apart under the assault. Its shields failed. Its armor cracked. Its reactor went critical. It exploded in a ball of white fire. 30 seconds. 3 destroyers. Gone. The Valkyrie fleet watched in total silence. The communications channels were dead quiet. No one spoke. No one moved. They had just witnessed the impossible. On the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, Admiral Thexnor stared at his displays. His forehands gripped the arms of his chair. His black eyes were wide with shock. This is not possible, he whispered. That ship is ancient. Those weapons are obsolete. This is not possible. His tactical officer spoke carefully. Admiral, the human ship appears to have multiple redundant systems. Our intelligence was wrong. Very wrong. Thexanor's shock turned to anger. Burning, furious anger. All ships. Attack formation. I want that human ship destroyed now. The entire Valkyrie fleet surged forward. 44 ships all at once. They abandoned their careful formation. Abandoned their precise tactics. They charged like an angry mob. On the Indomitable, Elena watched them come. The ship was damaged. Hull breaches on 3 decks. 2 railguns offline. Casualties in engineering. But they were still here. Still fighting. Commander Chen, she said calmly. Plot me a course right through the middle of them. Chen looked at her like she had gone insane. Captain? Elena smiled. A cold, dangerous smile. They want to fight? Let us give them one. Right in their face. The Indomitable turned toward the advancing fleet, alone against an armada, damaged but defiant. And it accelerated into the storm. Space erupted in fire and metal. The Valkyrie fleet swarmed around the Indomitable like angry insects. Energy lances crisscrossed the darkness. Missiles streaked in bright trails. The human ship was surrounded, outnumbered, outgunned, but it was still fighting. Elena gripped her chair as the ship shuddered from another hit. The lights flickered. Sparks fell from damaged conduits. A damage control team rushed past the bridge entrance. Everything was chaos. Controlled chaos. Status, she shouted. Chen read from his console, his voice steady despite the violence around them. Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. Port armor at 60%. Starboard armor at 45%. We have lost railgun batteries 2 and 5. Engines at 85% capacity. Casualties? 43 wounded. 8 dead. Chen paused. Engineering reports they can keep us running, but Chief Rodriguez says do not ask her how. Elena almost smiled. That sounded like Rodriguez. Good enough. Weapons, status? The weapons officer, a man named Harris from Texas, looked up from his displays. We have 5 railguns still operational. Ammunition at 70%. Point defense is working, but we are getting overwhelmed. Too many targets. Then we make every shot count, Elena said. Target their engines. Disabled ships cannot shoot us. The Indomitable rolled hard to port, dodging a barrage of missiles. Its point defense lasers swatted some out of space. The rest impacted against the already damaged armor. More sections failed. More alerts screamed for attention, but the railguns kept firing. Methodical, precise, relentless. A Valkyrie cruiser came too close. The Indomitable turned its full broadside on the target. 4 railguns fired as one. The cruiser's shields collapsed. Its engine section disintegrated. The ship went tumbling away, dead in space. 2 more destroyers moved in from opposite sides. They thought they had the human ship trapped. They opened fire together, their energy lances converging on the Indomitable's center mass. Elena saw it coming. Full reverse. Emergency thrusters, all sections. The ship lurched backward. The destroyer's shots passed through empty space where the Indomitable had been a second before. The energy beams hit each other instead. Both Valkyrie ships took heavy damage from their own weapons. The Indomitable did not wait. It spun in place and fired on both targets. The left destroyer lost its bridge. The right destroyer lost its weapons array. Both ships retreated, smoking and broken. 7 ships down. Harris called out. Wait, make that 8. One of the cruisers just had a reactor failure. The Valkyrie fleet was starting to realize their mistake. They had charged in without coordination, without their usual careful tactics. Their ships were getting in each other's way. Their weapons were hitting each other as often as they hit the human ship. And the Indomitable was fighting like a cornered animal. Vicious. Unpredictable. Desperate. On the Eternal Dominion, Admiral Thexnor watched his fleet falling apart. Ships were reporting damage, casualties, retreat requests. This was supposed to be easy. A demonstration. A quick victory. Instead, it was a nightmare. All ships pull back to Formation Delta, he ordered. Regroup. Use proper tactics. The fleet tried to obey, but the Indomitable did not let them. It chased the retreating ships, firing at every exposed engine, every damaged shield, every weakness. Deep in the Indomitable's engineering section, Chief Rodriguez worked like a woman possessed. Her team had contained the hull breaches. They had rerouted power from damaged systems. They had patched, welded, and jury-rigged 100 different problems. Ensign Park stumbled over to her, his face covered in soot. Chief, the starboard power conduit is melting. We need to shut it down. No! Rodriguez shouted back. We shut that down, we lose 2 railguns. Flood it with coolant. Divert from life support if you have to. But Chief, do it. She grabbed his shoulders and looked him in the eyes. We don't need to breathe if we are all dead. Keep those guns firing. Park nodded and ran to carry out her orders. Around them, the engineering team worked with desperate efficiency. They knew what was at stake. 50 million people on the planet below, 800 crew on this ship. Earth's reputation in the galaxy, everything. The battle raged on. Minutes felt like hours. The Indomitable took more damage, lost more systems. More crew members fell. But it kept fighting, always fighting. Elena saw the Eternal Dominion through her view screen. The massive Valkyrie flagship hung back, protected by layers of smaller ships. Thexnor was staying safe while his fleet died around him. A plan formed in her mind. A crazy plan. A suicidal plan. She opened a channel to engineering. Chief Rodriguez, I need everything. Every last bit of power. Can you give me full engines for 2 minutes? Rodriguez's voice crackled back. 2 minutes? Captain, I can give you 90 seconds, maybe. After that, the engines will probably explode. Definitely explode. What are you planning? Something stupid, Elena said. Stand by. She looked at Chen, her friend. Her second in command. He already knew what she was thinking. His face was pale, but his hands were steady. Set a course, Elena said quietly. Straight for the Eternal Dominion. Ramming speed. The bridge crew stopped. Everyone turned to look at her. Ramming speed. It meant a collision. It meant certain death for everyone on board. Captain, Chen said carefully, that will kill us all. Maybe, Elena said. Or maybe they break first. They have been fighting to avoid damage. We have been fighting to inflict it. They value their lives. We value our mission. That is the difference. That is why we will win, she stood up. This is the captain speaking to all hands. We are going to charge the enemy flagship. They think we are beaten. They think we will run. Show them they are wrong. Show them what humans do when their backs are against the wall. Show them what the indomitable really means. Throughout the ship, the crew heard her words. In engineering, in medical, in the gun base, and they responded. Not with fear, with defiance. Rodriguez pushed the power systems to their absolute limit. All yours, Captain. Make it count. Harris and his gun crews loaded every remaining railgun. Weapons ready. The medical teams prepared for the worst. We are ready. Chen entered the final commands. Course laid in. Ramming speed. Elena sat back down. Her hands were calm. Her voice was steady. Execute, the indomitable turned. Every engine blazing. Every weapon ready. The battered, burning, beautiful old ship pointed itself at the heart of the Valkyrie fleet and accelerated. On the Eternal Dominion, alarms suddenly screamed. The tactical officer shouted in panic. Admiral, the human ship, it is coming straight at us. Full speed. Thexnor looked at his display. His black eyes went wide. The Indomitable was charging directly at his flagship. No evasion, no hesitation, just pure suicidal aggression. For the first time in his long military career, Admiral Thexnor felt fear. They are insane, he whispered. They are all insane. He grabbed his communications officer. All ships. Stop that vessel. Kill it now. 6 months passed. The news of the Battle of New Sarajevo spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Every species heard the story. One human ship against 47 Valkyrie warships. And the humans had won. At first, no one believed it. The reports had to be wrong. Exaggerated propaganda, but then the sensor logs came out. Recordings from hundreds of observation satellites. Testimony from Valkyrie survivors. Even Admiral Thexnor himself confirmed what happened. The impossible was real. The HMS Indomitable was towed to the nearest repair station. It took 3 months to make the ship spaceworthy again. The damage was extensive. Entire sections had to be rebuilt. New engines installed. New systems integrated. But Elena insisted on one thing. They kept the scars, the patched hull, the mismatched armor plates, the character. This ship had earned every dent and burn mark. They would wear them with pride. Captain Vasquez became famous overnight. Every government wanted to meet her. Every news organization wanted to interview her. Every military academy wanted her to give speeches. She declined most of the requests. She was not interested in fame. She just wanted to get back to work, but she did agree to one visit. Observer Kelthas requested a meeting, and Elena could not refuse. He had been fair to humanity. He deserved answers. They met in her office aboard the repaired Indomitable. The ship was docked at Convergence Prime, the same station where this had all begun. Kelthas looked around the room with fascination. The walls still showed photos of previous captains and crews. Captain Vasquez, Kelthas began, thank you for seeing me. I have studied your battle extensively. I have analyzed every moment, and I still do not fully understand. How did you do it? Elena poured 2 cups of coffee. Human coffee grown on Earth. She offered one to Kelthas, who accepted it carefully. The Valkyrie made mistakes, she said. They underestimated us. They fought carelessly. That is true, Kelthas agreed, but it is not the whole answer. I have seen many battles where the stronger side made mistakes. They still won. Your victory was different, special. Elena sat down across from him. Then I will tell you the real answer. We won because we designed our ships differently. Most species build warships to be perfect, fast, powerful, elegant. And when those ships take damage, they break. They fail. They die. She gestured around the room. We build our ships to survive. Every system has backups. Every component can be replaced. If one power core fails, 3 more keep running. If one gun breaks, 5 more keep shooting. Our ships are ugly because we prioritize function over form. Reliability over elegance. Kelthas nodded slowly. I see redundancy, simplicity, durability. These are not advanced concepts. They are basic engineering principles, but taken to an extreme. Exactly, Elena said. The Valkyrie have weapons that can destroy a planet. We have weapons that still work after being shot. They have shields that can stop anything. We have armor that takes punishment and keeps going. They have the best technology. We have the best determination. Chief Rodriguez entered the office carrying a datapad. She saw Kelthus and nodded respectfully. Sorry to interrupt, Captain. Just need your signature on the new engine specifications. Elena signed it and handed it back. How are the new engines? Rodriguez grinned. Uglier than the old ones. More powerful too, and I made sure to add extra backups. She looked at Kelthus. You know what they say. If it looks stupid but it works, it is not stupid. After Rodriguez left, Kelthus smiled. It was the first time Elena had seen him smile. Your chief engineer has an interesting philosophy. Is that common among humans? Very common, Elena said. We have a saying, do not fix what is not broken, and if it is broken, fix it with whatever you have. Elegance is nice, but survival is better. Kelthus set down his coffee cup. The galaxy is changing because of what you did. Military analysts are studying human design principles. Shipbuilders are adding redundancy to their vessels. Even the Velkari are reconsidering their doctrines. Good, Elena said simply. Maybe fewer people will die in the next war. I also bring news, Kelthus continued. The Galactic Council has voted to grant Earth full membership. No more probationary status. No more limited representation. You are equals now. Elena raised her eyebrows. That is a big change. What prompted it? Kelthus laughed. You did. The Council realized that any species capable of what you accomplished deserves respect. Also, several governments have requested military exchange programs with Earth. They want to learn from you. We are not conquerors, Elena said carefully. We do not want to spread war. I know, Kelthus assured her. They want to learn your defensive strategies, your survival techniques, your engineering philosophy. You have shown the galaxy a new way to think about warfare, not as a competition to see who has the best weapons, but as a test of who can endure the longest. Elena stood and walked to the window. Outside, other ships came and went from the station. Some were sleek and beautiful. Some were functional and plain. But none of them looked at the Indomitable with mockery anymore. Now they looked with respect. What will you do now? Kelthus asked. You could retire. Accept a promotion. Teach at the academy. You have earned it, Elena shook her head. I have a ship. I have a crew. We have work to do. There are still colonies that need protecting, trade routes that need patrolling, pirates that need discouraging. The dangerous work, Kelthus observed. The unglamorous missions. The important work, Elena corrected. Besides, the Indomitable is not ready for retirement. Neither am I. Kelthus stood to leave. Then I wish you fair winds, Captain. Or whatever the human equivalent is for space travel. Elena smiled. Clear skies and steady engines. That is what we say. They shook hands. Human and Ascendi, warrior and scholar, friends. 3 days later, the Indomitable left Convergence Prime. The crew was back to full strength. New members had requested transfers to serve on the famous battleship. Elena had to turn away hundreds of applicants. Everyone wanted to serve on the ship that had become a legend. As they broke orbit, Commander Chen brought news. Captain, Earth Command has approved construction of 6 new ships based on the Indomitable design. They are calling them the Anvil-class battleships. Elena nodded. Good. The galaxy needs more ships that refuse to die. Also, Chen continued, we are receiving departure messages from other ships in the area. They are all very respectful. No mockery. No jokes. Play them, Elena said. The communications channel opened. Ship after ship sent their regards. Velkari captains, Ascendi traders, even a few Xanthari warships. All of them wished the Indomitable safe travels. Some even saluted. One message stood out. It was from Admiral Thexnor himself. His face appeared on the screen and Elena was surprised to see him smile. A real smile, not a mocking one. Captain Vasquez, I wanted to send you off personally. 6 months ago I called your ship a joke. I was wrong. You taught me an important lesson. Technology is nothing without the will to use it. Power means nothing without the courage to stand. I will not forget that lesson. Safe travels, Captain, and know that you will always have my respect. The message ended. Elena sat quietly for a moment. Then she keyed the response channel. Thank you, Admiral. And the same to you. The Indomitable accelerated away from the station. The old engines hummed with new power. The patched hull gleamed in the starlight. The mismatched armor plates told a story of survival and victory. Rodriguez came up to the bridge to check on the systems. Everything was running smoothly. Well, as smoothly as anything on the Indomitable ever ran. There were still alerts, still minor problems, still that constant need for maintenance, but the ship worked. It always worked. Ensign Park approached Rodriguez nervously. He was still young, still learning, but the battle had changed him, made him stronger. Chief, I was wondering, why do we keep the ship looking like this? We could make it sleek, modern, like the other ships. Rodriguez put her hand on his shoulder. Kid, this ship beat 47 Valkyrie warships looking exactly like this. You know what they call us now? Not a joke. Not a relic. They call us the ship that would not die. Why would we change that? Park smiled. I understand, Chief. Besides, Rodriguez added with a grin, ugly and effective beats pretty and dead every single time. On the bridge, Elena looked out at the stars ahead. There were colonies to protect, trade routes to secure, a galaxy that was still learning what humanity could do. Commander Chen stood beside her. Where to, Captain? Elena smiled. The frontier. Where we belong, where we are needed. The dangerous places, Chen observed. The important places, Elena corrected. She looked back at her crew. All of them at their stations. All of them ready. All of them proud to serve on the ship that had become legend. Set course. Maximum speed. The Indomitable jumped to faster than light travel, a streak of light against the darkness, an old ship with a new reputation, a joke that had become a symbol. Across the galaxy, the story spread. Parents told it to children. Officers taught it at academies. Historians recorded it for future generations. The Battle of New Sarajevo, one ship against 47. The day humanity proved that determination and design could overcome any odds. The Valkyrie never threatened human colonies again. Other species thought twice before underestimating Earth. And whenever a debate started about advanced technology versus proven reliability, someone would always mention the Indomitable. The space between the Indomitable and the Eternal Dominion filled with weapons fire. Every Valkyrie ship in range opened up. Energy lances, missiles, plasma torpedoes, everything they had. The Indomitable flew through it all. Hits hammered the hull. Entire sections of armor burned away. Decks opened to space. Systems failed one after another. But the ship kept going, its engines screaming, its weapons firing back at anything that got too close. On the bridge, sparks rained down from broken conduits. Half the displays were dark. The lights flickered. Elena could hear the groaning of stressed metal throughout the ship. The Indomitable was being torn apart, but not fast enough. Distance to target, she shouted. Chen's console was half destroyed, but he read from a backup display. 15,000 kilometers. 10,000. We are in point-blank range. All weapons. Elena commanded. Target the flagship. Everything we have. The 3 remaining railguns fired as one. At this range, there was no chance to miss. The slugs crossed the distance in less than a second. They hit the Eternal Dominion shields once, twice, 3 times. The mighty flagship's shields flared bright blue. They held. Barely. Thexnor saw the human ship filling his view screen. It was a wreck. Burning. Broken. Pieces falling off. But it was still coming. Still shooting. Still fighting. Evasive maneuvers, he screamed. Get us out of here! The Eternal Dominion was huge, powerful, heavily armed. But it was also slow. It began to turn, but not fast enough. The Indomitable was already too close. Elena saw her chance. All power to forward guns. One more volley. Make it count. Rodriguez's voice came over the comm, strained and desperate. Captain, the engines are critical. We have maybe 10 seconds before they... 10 seconds is enough, do it. Every remaining power core on the Indomitable dumped its energy into the weapons systems. The railguns glowed red-hot. Warning alarms shrieked. But they fired. A massive barrage of metal slugs hammered into the Eternal Dominion at point-blank range. The flagship's shields collapsed under the assault. Armor plates shattered. The bridge section took multiple direct hits. Explosions rippled along the hull. Thexnor was thrown from his chair. Emergency systems screamed. His beautiful bridge was a mess of fire and smoke and dying officers. Half his crew was dead or wounded, and the human ship was still there. Still coming, all ships. He transmitted on the emergency channel. Ram them, stop them. Whatever it takes. But the Valkyrie fleet had finally had enough. They had fought humans and believed all the stories about primitive technology. They had laughed at the old battleship, but in the last hour they had learned the truth. Humans did not care about looking good. They cared about winning. Their ships were not elegant. They were brutal. Their weapons were not advanced. They were effective. And when pushed to the edge, humans did not surrender. They fought back. One by one, the Velkari ships began to break off, to retreat. First the damaged ones, then the ones that had lost weapons, then the ones that simply had enough. The careful, disciplined fleet was falling apart. On the Indomitable, Elena watched the enemy flee. She could hardly believe it. They were winning, actually winning. Then the engines finally gave up. Multiple explosions rocked the engineering section. The power went out. Emergency lights clicked on, casting everything in red. The ship went silent except for the hiss of escaping air and the crackle of fires. Damage report. Elena called into the darkness. Chen worked his backup systems. Main power is gone. Engines are destroyed. We are drifting. Weapons are offline. Life support is on batteries. He paused. Captain, we are dead in space. Elena looked at her crew. They were battered, exhausted, some were wounded. All of them were still at their posts. Are the Velkari still attacking? She asked. Chen checked his sensors. No, Captain. They are retreating. The flagship is damaged and withdrawing. Most of the fleet is following. We are reading at least 23 disabled or destroyed Velkari ships. The rest are running. The bridge was silent. Then someone started to laugh. Harris, the weapons officer. Then another crew member. Then another. Soon the entire bridge was laughing. Not from joy. From relief. From disbelief. From the sheer insanity of what they had just done. They had won. One ship against 47. The joke had defeated the Armada. Rodriguez's voice came over the comm, weak but alive. Bridge, this is engineering. We are a mess down here, but everyone is alive. Most of us, anyway. The engines are scrap. The power cores are cooked. But the hull is holding. We are not dead yet. Elena keyed her communicator. Good work, Chief. Good work, everyone. We did it. We actually did it. An incoming transmission cut through the static. It was from the Eternal Dominion. Admiral Thexnor appeared on the screen. He looked terrible. His uniform was torn. There was blood on his face. His bridge behind him was a disaster. Captain Vasquez, he said. His voice was quiet. Defeated, Admiral, Elena replied. She kept her voice neutral. Professional. Thexnor was silent for a long moment. Then he said, I underestimated you. I underestimated your ship. I underestimated humanity. He looked away. The Velkari Empire withdraws its claim to the frontier sector. The colonies are yours. We will not return, Elena nodded. Thank you, Admiral. Thexnor looked back at her. There was something in his eyes now. Not friendship, but respect. Tell me, Captain, how did you know we would break first? Elena smiled. A tired smile. Because you fight to protect your technology. Your beautiful ships, your perfect tactics. We fight to protect our people, our homes, our future. That is the difference. That is why we won. Thexnor nodded slowly. I see. Perhaps there is wisdom in your methods after all. He straightened as much as he could. I will recommend that my government establish formal peace negotiations with Earth. You have earned that much. Farewell, Captain Vasquez. May we never meet in battle again. Farewell, Admiral. The transmission ended. Elena sat back in her chair and closed her eyes. It was over. They had done the impossible, Captain, Chen said quietly. We are receiving a transmission from New Sarajevo. The colonial government wants to thank us. Elena opened her eyes. Tell them we were just doing our job. Also, Captain, we are receiving messages from all over the galaxy. News of the battle has spread. Everyone is talking about what happened here. Elena stood up. Her body hurt everywhere. She had cuts and bruises she did not remember getting. But she walked to the view screen and looked out at the stars. The Indomitable drifted in space. Broken, burning, barely functional, but still there. Still intact, still unconquered. Around her, debris from the battle slowly tumbled through the void. The remains of Velkari ships, proud vessels that had been destroyed by the museum piece, the relic, the joke. Elena thought about all the mocking messages they had received, all the laughter, all the contempt. She thought about Thexnor's confidence, his certainty that humans were weak, and she smiled. Commander Chen, she said, send a message to Earth Command. Mission successful. New Sarajevo is secure. The Indomitable requires assistance, but we are operational. All crew accounted for. She paused. And add this. The joke has the last laugh. Chen smiled as he typed the message. Around the bridge, the crew allowed themselves to relax. Just a little. Just for a moment. They had done it. Against impossible odds, against all expectations, they had won, and the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again.